Let's make some noise. Come on.
Thank you very much, Nick Foles. How's everybody doing? Get the light on there. How's everybody tonight? Welcome back to the final word here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy MattyB on the call. It is soap night. You guys remember soap night? Is that a thing anymore? Growing up, it was. I don't know if it was just an added nuance to the Halloween mischief, but we celebrated soap night back when I was a kid. It was a night where we went out and soaped things, you know, with bars of soap, drawing on car windows and stuff like that. Yes, nice, healthy vandalism. Everything a growing boy needs. So happy soap night as we get closer to the All Hallows Eve itself, 2 days away now from my favorite holiday, Halloween. I will not be on the air on Friday, and then it's a shame because I think last year I was on the air. I think it was on a Thursday. So that sucks that I won't be on the air for Halloween, but we'll celebrate as much as we can tonight, tomorrow night, as we bridge the gap between here and Halloween. It's great to be back on this Wednesday evening here in the wonderful world of Philadelphia sports. The Eagles, they answered a lot of questions today by saying to everybody that no, Brandon Graham was not the only thing we're going to do, as the Eagles pulled off a trade today, bringing in a much-needed cornerback help from the New York Jets. The Eagles acquired DB Michael Carter II. John Mechie III is on his way to the Jets, along with a 27 6th-round pick. The Eagles also pick up a 27 7th-round pick from the Jets in the deal, as the Eagles are trying to sew up the cornerback slot going forward. We'll get into that trade, break down a little bit. And what does that mean? Is this it? Is this the big move? Is Brandon Graham and Michael Carter II? Is that the big Eagles moves this trade deadline? So we'll decipher that a little bit. Philadelphia Flyers, fresh off of a confusing 3-2 over shootout win last night against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I got to go back in time because I presented the wrong information last night when I had the final word, when I had the Clear the Ice program. And I'll get into what I mean here in a second when we get to that. But we'll talk Flyers hockey tonight as well. Your Sixers are off to a 4-0 start. We definitely can talk Sixers. Again, I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm not going to sort of promote it, but I won't shy away from it. Go ahead and bring up the Sixers if you like. Your day of Philadelphia sports history, your card review, and your of the night segment, all on the program this evening, as we are going to do as what we do every single night here on this show, present to you the best in made-up entertainment that we can. So let's go, and I'm glad to be back. So before we get going, let's remind everybody on this program that this network is brought to you in part by a lot of fine programming. And here is an example of what that programming is for this week. Tonight, you had a little bit earlier the Pittsburgh Sports Desk, of course, followed by me. Tomorrow, Gridiron Weekly, a little Clear in the Ice, Mike Laro style, Flyers, Predators, and then me, final word as well. Nothing on Friday, unfortunately. I don't think the wraparound is going to happen this week. And then Saturday, Penn State, Ohio State, Happy Valley Huddle, and some more Clear in the Ice as we get through the bye week here in Philadelphia. And it's always a bad, especially now, of course, we don't have baseball and we can't talk about the Phillies, and we can talk about the World Series if you like. It turning out to be a really good series out there between Toronto and LA. I still think the Dodgers will win it, but Toronto's giving them everything they can. But we'll get into whatever you want to. But it's definitely been a slow week trying to make up some things as we go through it. But make sure that you're checking out all the great programming. And there is a little bit of a reorganization of the network on the way. December, we're going to be putting the wraparound in the hands of Big Al, as he'll take over hosting duties of that program, and a few other things that we're going to make some changes with. So make sure that you're tuned in for all the greatest and latest updates. And yeah, do what the kids do. Like, share, subscribe. I don't really know what that means in terms of I love the subscribers on YouTube. It's great. I'm not going to beat myself over with not having them, but please tell a friend, come on and help us out. Of course, also, if you're interested, and I've said this kind of and I need to be more sort of adamant about this, but if you're interested, or if you think you got what it takes to come on this network on a daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever basis you want to do it, and become one of the are the few, the proud, the It's a Wrap Sports team members. You can kind of hold me down there on our little ticker there. It's got our email address. Drop me a line, and we'll start the process. We're always on the lookout for some new talent. So hit me up, and we'll see where we can go. So let's go as we do here every night. Mick Delaney checking in says, let's get ready to rumble. Yes, let's definitely get ready to rumble. Are we fighting, Mickey? Mickey, are we going to fight tonight? I don't want to fight you, Mickey. But let's roll with our let's get the show started with our day in Philadelphia sports history. So let's strap in, strap on, strap up, put your head or keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times, and let's go. This day in 2008 is sort of the second part of what we talked about the other night. It's part 2 of Game 5 of the 2008 World Series, the game that was suspended in the bottom of the 7th inning with the score tied 2-2 between the Phillies and the Devil Rays. But Christmas would come early on this night back in 2028 as the Phillies would finish out Game 5 with a 4-3 win over the Rays, winning their second ever World Series championship in franchise history. It was the end of a 48-hour delay that caused, as I mentioned, the suspension of Game 1. It was finally finished on this night back in 2008. Striking out the final batter in the 2008 season to record his 48th save of the year. In many opportunities, Brad Lidge closed out more than just a single game or season by extorting the game's final swing and miss with the best slider in baseball. Lidge put the final touch on a moment 25 years in the making. Brad Lidge, of course, one of the great stories of the 2008 season, one of the many great stories of what the Phillies were in 2008, especially down the stretch. And securing that World Series championship. Only the second one we've ever had the chance to celebrate in the city of Philadelphia. Said it before. I remember it well. I remember it very well. I know where I was. I was sitting in my office or my workshop, whatever you want to call it, in Baghdad, Iraq. And it was about 5 o'clock in the morning on the morning of the 30th, I guess it would have been. And I remember we're all in the dark watching the game on a computer on the Armed Forces Network, and yeah, it was definitely, it was an anticlimactic. Would I've liked to have been home, of course, but it definitely did not change how I felt about the moment, and it did not change how important I took that moment. And obviously, one of the banner moments in Philadelphia Phillies history, Philadelphia sports history, and in my own personal history. So this night back in 2008. Game 5, Part 2, Phillies Rays was completed, and the Phillies won the 2008 World Series. So happy World Series championship for the Phillies on this day in 2008. And yeah, and there you go. And that's brought to you by Mike Lauro and his brand of Happy Valley Huddle Penn State post game. Things have turned on Penn State this year, but Mike is sticking with it. He's got no choice. He wanted this, so I gave it to him. Mike will come at you every Saturday, like it or not, with Penn State postgame. This Saturday, he'll have you Penn State, Ohio State. Definitely not the matchup we thought it was going to be. At the beginning of the season, things have gone drastically wrong for the Nittany Lions, and they are just now, is it official? Can you say Penn State's just sort of playing out the string here? I don't think they stand a snowball's chance in hell in beating the Ohio State Buckeyes. Are they number 1 now? Ohio State's back to being number 1. But make sure you're checking Mike out, as he will be there with you the rest of the way this season on the Happy Valley Huddle. I don't know about next season, but I know he'll be there this season. So make sure you're checking out the Happy Valley Huddle and everything else we do here. So let's get into the show. Let's flip a coin here, an imaginary coin, and let's talk some Eagles football. The Eagles do pull off the trade. A much-needed defensive back comes to Philadelphia. John Mitchie gone. Barely even got to know him. He was one of Howie Roseman's pickups late this summer. Kind of came into a situation. Obviously, he was brought here to challenge for that number 3 wide receiver spot. I don't think he much challenged it at all, as he was relegated to, I don't even know, was he even active in games? I think he had 1 or 2 receptions in his career with the team. But the Eagles were able to flip him to the Jets for Michael Carter II, a 2027 7th round pick. It did cost the Eagles a 6th round pick in 2027. But Howie Roseman, to his credit, saves a draft pick for this year. Eagles are down now to 10 draft picks for this upcoming 2026 draft, and he's able to fill a need. Now, Michael Carter is under contract through 2027. He signed a 3-year, $30.7 million extension back in 2024, which will run him through the 2027 season. But only $2.7 million of that $30.75 million is guaranteed. So, it's not a bad move, and he does fit in. That he does help out a much beleaguered defensive backcourt, which I honestly believe is the sort of beginning and ending to the Eagles' struggles defensively. Yes, do they need some edge help? They do, but when you can have a tight defensive backfield, it makes your defensive players up front play better. It gives them more of an opportunity when you cause that quarterback more time to look for an open wide receiver, and it hasn't worked. The clown show the Eagles have run out there this year: Jacorian Bennett, Keely Ringo, Jackson. None of them have worked out. Jacorian Bennett is not even. I don't even think he's played because of injuries. Dory Jackson, he's been banged up too, but when he's in there, he's been ineffective. And of course, Keely Ringo is a straight up bust of a draft pick by Howie Roseman. And it has really been a sore point to this Philadelphia Eagle defense. Now, Carter does bring in some experience. He's a former 5th round pick. He was actually at one point a player that was being looked at as one of the rising stars in this league back in 2022 when he got drafted 21, whatever it was. But it hasn't really worked out because he's had some injury issues throughout his career. So, but he comes here and he does create somewhat of a dilemma because he plays primarily in the slot. Now, I know there's been some talk going around that Cooper DeJean is going to be, I believe I've read and I've heard Vic Fangio prefers Cooper DeJean out wide, doesn't want him in the slot. And it looks like, I guess now he's going to get his wish because where's Michael Carter going to play? Both of them can't play in the slot, and we don't have that luxury of a rotational slot guy. Someone's going to have to go out wide. Is it Michael Carter or is it Cooper DeJean? Now, DeJean has played a lot more out wide because I think out of necessity this year more than anything else. And it's been fine. He's a very good defensive back, but do you rob Peter and pay Paul here? And that's, I guess, what the dilemma the Eagles are going to have. But bringing in another back, bringing in another defender, bringing in a guy that should hopefully at least bring some stability to that defensive backfield is not something that you should overlook. It's a good move. And I do believe that the targeting of the defensive backfield should have been the number one priority in the trade deadline because that is the weakest link in the Eagle defense. If you kind of look position by position or player by player, the DB positioning is probably the weakest link on the Eagles defense. So Howie Roseman pulls off a trade today. Michael Carter is coming from the Jets and going to the Jets. John Metchie and a draft pick. We also get a draft pick. So what are your feelings about that trade? It's a body. It's a competent body. It's a guy who's played in this league for a few years. It's a guy who can play in this league. Is he dealing with some injuries? Yes. Has he dealt with some injuries in the past? Yes. Does he play primarily in the slot? He did with the Jets. Where does he work out on this defense? So we'll have to wait and see what the Eagles do with him. But Howie obviously addressed the need today with a very low cost. It really didn't cost him that much. So the Eagles do upgrade their defensive backfield and lose a player in John Metchie that just honestly wasn't going to work. I mean, he's just no room for him on this football team. I never understood why they brought him here in the first place, to be honest with you. Maybe it was to trade him at the trade deadline. Maybe that's what Howie was thinking. Maybe that's how good Howie is. He's already thinking of the trade deadline back in August. But John Metchie's gone. Barely got to know you, John. Michael Carter is here. And does he play the slot or does he go out wide? He's played primarily in the slot with the Jets. How does he fit in for the Eagles? So he's a starting caliber guy. He's better than Keely Ringo and he's better than Dory Jackson. He's probably better than Jacorian Bennett. We don't know because he hasn't really played. but he does bring in some stability to that rotating circus clown show of the defensive backfield for the Philadelphia Eagles. So John Metchie gone, Michael Carter here. Carter is under contract through 2027, reasonably under contract. Again, only a $2.3 million of guaranteed money as part of that $30 million extension he signed back in 2024 with the Jets. So it's a good move for some depth and some longevity going down the road. It's not a 1-year rental. And if you pick up a player who's going to be here for at least 2 or 3 seasons right now, and it costs you John Metchie and a 7th-round draft pick in 2027, it's a pretty good trade. So good news, I guess, for Eagles fans is that we finally got some stability in our defensive backfield. Joe Hale says, what's up, Joe? How you doing, man? What's going on tonight, Joe? So talking Eagles trade, John Metchie on his way to the Jets and Michael Carter on his way to the Eagles. And is this it? Brandon Graham? Michael Carter, is this it? Is there another trade coming? Is there one that's going to blow our socks off? Is Howie going to spring for one of the big guys? Crosby, Hendrickson? Is anybody else coming? Has Howie done it? Is it over? Trade deadline complete? Is it enough? It's something. Brandon Graham does provide you some stability on that line. Now, what playing wise, what he provides you, unknown. It might not be known for a while, but he does provide some leadership inside that locker room, does provide some presence in that locker room, but I need more presence on the field. Michael Carter does provide you some stability in the defensive backfield, a lot more than they've had with the players they've had. But Carter has played primarily in the slot. What are they doing here? Are we going to see finally the ascension of Cooper DeJean as a wide cornerback? Are they going to put Carter back out wide? What do you do here? Is there going to be an opposing force against an opposing force arguing for who plays where on this Philadelphia Eagle football team? What is the future of Cooper DeJean now? As I said, does he now go wide? I don't think he should. But Michael Carter has played in the slot, though. Want to find all that stuff out. Love the trade. Cooper is the outside. Nothing's guaranteed, Joe. Nothing's guaranteed. As I said, Carter has played and he does play in the slot. But nothing's guaranteed. I guess we can wish it if you want to wish it into fruition. But we'll see. And I'm not saying Cooper DeJean can't play out wide, but he was very good in the slot. But do you need? I guess where do you need him the most? So we'll have to wait and see. Again, Michael Carter under contract through 2027, and comes at a very cheap price, a 2027 7th-round pick, and John Metchie III, who really didn't have a place here. So the Eagles are on the move. They're trading players. Trade deadline's what, next week? Is this it? Is this the big move? I'd be okay if this was it. I don't want to give up any more draft picks. Let's take a look at that, by the way. So the Eagles draft picks coming up in 2026. They have their own 1st and 2nd. They have 1, 2, 3 3rd-round picks. They got 1, 2 4th-round picks. They're down to just 2 5th-round picks and now 1 6th. So that's their picks right now heading into the draft. And that's with the conditional picks and the comp picks factored in from last year. 10 overall draft picks. I mean, that's pretty good. I like the 3 3rd-rounders, man. That's pretty hot. That I would imagine at least one of those get moved, probably on draft day, not in the trade deadline. 2 4s, 2 5s, and a 6. That is your draft board for the Eagles as we get ready for 2026 as it stands right now. We'll see what the Eagles do with more trades moving forward. But John Metchie gone, Michael Carter here. Does that mean Cooper DeJean is now out wide? We'll see. We'll see. But the Eagles are making some moves in the trade deadline. And this is a terrible week for us here. There's no football, the bye week. And that means there's no Birds Blast. So I won't be doing the Birds Blast tomorrow. But I am going to present to you my NFL picks for week 9 because I won't have the opportunity to on the Bears Blast. So real quick, indulge me here. I am going to present to you what I think is going to happen in week 9 of the NFL. Let's recap week 8. I went 10-3 for the week, which was really good. Another stellar week for me. I've had more good than bad this year. I really righted the ship. But I've had some really good weeks. Just a couple bad ones. My worst was week 4. Week 4 and week 5, I was terrible. But other than that, it's been pretty solid. So far now for the season, I'm 77-41. And this is straight pick 'em. This is not spreads or over-unders or parlays or anything like that. This is straight pick 'em. So let's go over my week 9 picks right now. Get that out of the way. The first game of the week is Baltimore against Miami on Thursday Night Football. I guess back when they scheduled this game back in the summer, this was probably going to be a good game. It's not going to be. The Baltimore Ravens will roll in this game. Chicago and Cincinnati. Give me the Bears. Yeah, I'm rolling the Bears here. Miami, Detroit. Detroit's hitting their stride. Watch out, man. They're hitting their stride. Carolina versus the Packers. Give me the Packers as they'll get ready to be flying high against the Birds. The Chargers against the Titans. The Chargers. The Falcons versus the Patriots. Look out for the Patriots. Are they back? Is Drake May the guy? I'm going with the Patriots in this game. San Francisco against the Giants. Cam Scatterboot done for the year, potentially done for his career. That's it. Giants are done. Give me the 49ers. Indianapolis versus Pittsburgh. The story of the year continues to roll this week. Dan Jones and the Indianapolis Colts will beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Denver and Tennessee. Give me Denver. Jacksonville against the Raiders. Give me Jacksonville. The Saints versus the Rams. Give me the Rams. Kansas City versus Buffalo. Give me Buffalo in this game. And Seattle, Washington. Give me Washington. I think the Commanders win that game. And Arizona versus Dallas on Monday night. Oh, that Seattle Commanders game is Sunday night, by the way. Arizona versus Dallas on Monday night. I will go with Arizona because I will never pick the Cowboys to win anything. And there you have my week 9 picks. So I had to get that out of the way because I don't have a show. I don't have the Birds Blast. So I had to get that out of the way. Matt, tomorrow's my birthday on live. No, do my birthday on live. I can't. Oh, wait. Matt, tomorrow. I thought your birthday was on Halloween. You said your birthday was Friday. But we'll celebrate Ricky's birthday tomorrow on my show. I promised you that the other night, Ricky. We will do that. We'll bring you on. We'll sing happy birthday to Ricky Deal. I'll bring everybody on. Everyone's going to call in. We'll bring everybody on the air, and we'll sing happy birthday to Ricky. All right? You guys hear that? It's my decree. No, absolutely, Ricky. We will celebrate your birthday. So there you go. My week 9 picks. Eagles make a trade. I'm going to have to wait till the Packers to see how it works out. Is it possible we see Michael Carter and Brandon Graham both make their season debuts as Eagles against Green Bay on Monday Night Football? And we see Cooper DeJean as your new permanent wide CB2? We'll see. We'll see. But let's transition. And again, the conversation with the Eagles is still up there. You guys can bring it up all you want. I got to get through some things. But let's transition back to the Flyers because last night I had the postgame show. And it was a weird game. And I watched every second of that hockey game. And I watched the play in overtime with Tyson Forrester. I remember seeing it live thinking, it might be a little close, but they didn't call it. So I remember seeing specifically the linesman sitting up on the boards, giving the whole, good signal. And then Tyson Forrester goes into the slot and shoots the puck and scores the game winner. I immediately then switched the game off. I didn't stick around for the post-game hubbub about challenging the goal call. As I was getting ready to go on live for Clear the Ice, I saw the notification come over my phone from ESPN claiming the Flyers as the 3-2 overtime winners. And as I went into the show, started reading off stats, I'm like, wait a second, why am I looking at a shootout? What is going on here? So I just kept rolling with the overtime, but then when I got off the air, I realized that the goal was disallowed and they went into overtime or shootout, which of course the Flyers did win. Mitch Koff and I think, what was it? Brink scored in the shootout. And the Flyers did still win the game 3-2, but it was a shootout. So this is the second time this season the Flyers have had a goal disallowed in overtime, and the second time that they've fooled me with goals disallowed in overtime. Now, with the fact that I gave you erroneous information, I owe you something on this show. So we're going to go and we're going to look at the call, the disallowed goal. We're going to look at the offsides. And I'm going to see what you guys think about it. So let me get it. Let me key it up. We're going to take a look at it. But again, I don't like being made to look like this. I feel foolish that I couldn't give you the best version of me. So we're going to run this thing from the beginning. Well, we're going to run this thing right from the actual entry of the zone, right at the actual point of the call. And we're going to try to see if we can see an offsides. All right. So let's key it up. So here we are. So let's set it up. 4-on-3. Now, of course, which was weird because earlier in this overtime, the Flyers were victim of a goal that was disallowed because of a illegal substitution. I believe Malkin stepped on the ice prior to the goalie clearing the ice. So that goal was disallowed, and I believe the Flyers went on the power play because of it. Now, this is about a minute or so later, whatever it is, and the Flyers are getting ready to enter the zone. They are on the power play, 4-on-3. So as you can see, everyone's sort of bunched up here in the corner. The puck holder is Trevor Zegras. He's over here on the board. You got, who is that? Tippett. You got Drysdale. And there's Mr. Tyson Forrester down low. Now, we're going to bring it in a little slow because it's going to get really convoluted. It's hard. I ain't going to lie to you. This angle that I got here, it's damn near hard to tell whether or not Tyson Forrester went offside. But because you lose the puck, because of all this traffic right here, this was not the best entry for Zegras to begin with. There's too much going on. But I also want you to pay attention to this man sitting here. That's the linesman. That's the guy that's going to give you the go or no go when it comes to this play. And this is a tough play for a linesman, especially, again, there's a reason why he's sitting on the board. It's not because he wants to get the best seat in the house. It's because of all this mess right here that's kind of being funneled onto the wall. So you really, there's a reason why you don't really want to do this because of all this traffic. And it's going to come very evident here in a second. So let's stop it right here. Now, again, this is where it gets kind of, and I don't have any other angles, and I'm sure the league looked at it from a different angle. But there's Zegras right here on the line. There's Tippett, his defender, Drysdale, and Forrester. Forrester, to me, looks onside right here. All right. Again, I can't tell, but from where the relation to the blue line is, he looks like he's still onside. It looks like he's looking for what everyone else is looking for, and that's the puck. You can't really see where the puck is, right? Because it's kind of here. But again, with the relation to where Zegras is, it looks like the puck is yet to cross the blue line. Now, I want you to keep your eyes on the linesman who's sitting on the boards. Right about, okay, so now it looks like Tyson Forrester is in the zone. You can see his right foot here is definitely over the line, and his left foot might even be over the line as well. Again, I can't tell you from here where the puck is, but the fact that Zegras is still standing and holding the upper part of the line doesn't bode well for the puck being in the zone. And you can definitely tell down here Forrester is in the zone. But let's play it again. Now, okay, now let's stop it here. Everybody's in the zone, pretty much. Forrester's a good 3 steps in the zone. The puck is barely over the line. And again, it's just the physics of all this is not working out well. But I want to keep going, keep going. All right, so stop it here. All right, this is what's most telling about this play. And this is why when I saw it in real time, I did notice this in real time. But I figured, okay, it's not that uncommon. It happens. But this is when I knew there was going to be a problem. Right now, the linesman is signaling it's good. It's a good play. See, he's got his arms spread out like the safe symbol in baseball. Look at where the relation of all these players in the zone is. I mean, they're a quarter of the way inside of their offensive zone. And the puck is barely over the ice. As a linesman, and I've been in this position bazillions of times, this is a really late call. This is a very late, good call. I mean, this call should have been a few seconds back if everybody would have been in the zone. So the fact that it took the linesman so long to make this call, I do remember seeing this in real time thinking, there might be something to that. But a very late call by the linesman that the play was good. And that might have been what tipped off the Penguins, or it might have been what tipped off the league to review this. So let's keep it rolling. But they called it good here. They're going to find, what's that? Zebras is going to find Forrester, and he's just going to kind of walk it down. Really a basic play. I would have dumped it right there to who was that breaking in? Was that Tippett, I guess? Or no, that was Drysdale. I would have passed it personally, but that was a nice shot. Flyers get the goal, but of course, moments later, to my chagrin, and unknowns to me at the time, they called it they reviewed it, and the goal was disallowed. But again, as I said, if you had to ask me, the fact that call was so late from the linesman, the good call, was so late that, yeah, now that I think about it, I was kind of thinking that something might happen from it. But anyway, thank you, Matt. We celebrate my birthday. All right, let's do it, Ricky. So the goal was disallowed. The game went into a shootout. The Flyers did prevail in that shootout. They're still 5-3 and now 1 on the season. They're into the second level of points, multiple, double-digit points for the season. 11. Good start for the Flyers. A positive game by Sam Ersson last night. But I broke down the 2 goals that he did give up, which were terrible goals. And he's still not your number one, but a bounce-back game for Ersson, nonetheless. Flyers will be back at it tomorrow night on these airwaves. We got you for Clear the Ice tomorrow. Flyers, Predators. Mike Lauro will have you on the call tomorrow night, and then I will be back on Saturday to take you through the Leafs game, and Mike will be here on Sunday to take you through the Calgary Flames. So we got no football, no problem. We got you covered with the Flyers this weekend. 2 games, both Saturday and Sunday. Flyers going back-to-back. I think it's their first back-to-back all year. Pretty much, I think it is. So if you're asking me, obviously I think what's-his-face is going to start. Vladar will go Thursday night. So if Vladar goes Thursday, this is how I think it'll roll. Vladar Thursday against Nashville. Vladar Saturday against Toronto, and Ersson Sunday against Calgary. That's my prediction of how that will roll. So we'll see how right I am. But Flyers 5-3-1, and starting off the season pretty good. Jetlachenko, we talked about this last night on the post game. Did I talk about this? I talked about this somewhere. Where did I talk about Jetlachenko? Was that last night, or was that on the show the other night? I don't even remember. I know we talked about him, but of course, gone back to the WHL with the Gulf. Don't call it the Gulf Storm. I got chastised by Jim Jackson for that. The Gulf Storm of the Western Hockey League. Strictly a business move, if you ask me. It was to preserve that year of that contract, as they want to try to. They got one more shot at this. They could do this. They could have done this one more time, and that was this year. So they get to save another year on his contract before having to commit to him being part of the AHL and having that contract start to tick, which will probably occur this spring. But he's going back to the WHL, and a little concerned about the 13th overall pick of the 2024 NHL draft not being a good pick. I'm a little concerned about that, because even if you're trying to preserve his contract, actually, if he's ready to play, and if the Flyers thought he was that close, and if the Flyers thought he was ready, and when I mean ready, I mean put him out in the NHL and give him meaningful minutes. I'm not saying ready to explode into the league and take the league by storm. No, but I mean ready to play at the NHL level. Then regardless of whether or not he had a contract or doesn't have a contract, or 1 year on the contract, no years, whatever the situation with his contract would be, he would be in Lehigh Valley. No doubt about it. And the fact that they made the business decision to send him back to Guelph tells me more about the short-term prognosis on this hockey player than anything else, that he's not ready. And you don't want to throw away first-round draft picks. The Flyers are not in a position to be able to throw away first-round draft picks. They're not. And again, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a reach at me for 13. I just wasn't feeling that. I wasn't feeling his player profile, his stature. Yeah, he was a burner, but he scored goals on speed in major junior hockey. That speed goes away quick when you get to this level. And I just was concerned about his other offensive tools, and they have not developed yet for the Flyers' liking. So much so that they're sending him back to major junior hockey for another year. So Chetlachenko on his way out again. So we'll see him probably again in the spring. I don't know if he'll play with the Flyers in the spring, but I'm sure he'll be back with the Phantoms at some point this spring. So we'll see you in the spring there, Jet. Have a good winter in Canada. But there you go. There's the Flyers. There's my little Flyers take on the night. So let's keep the show moving. Let's get into our of the night segment. Of the night. All right, so the other night segment, of course, we're fixated completely on the Flyers prospects right now. It's October, so we won't kind of broaden our horizons on this segment until I think November or January, when we'll start breaking down the NHL draft and dabbling into the MLB draft as well. So we still got a few more months of me just kind of. Also, we'll be breaking down Phillies players. We'll be spotlighting Phillies players in January. Can't wait. Hopefully, we got some new players to talk about, but we're still pretty much fixated on the Flyers prospects portion of the night segment, and we've been getting through them. Tonight we're going to talk about another one who was actually much coveted by Daniel Briere for a few seasons, and finally was able to pull off a move last year to bring him here. And I speak of the man, the myth, the legend, Massimo Rizzo, the much coveted center from the where was he playing for? He was out in Canada. I think it was in Calgary or somewhere. No, he wasn't. Colorado. He was in the Colorado Avalanche system. That's what he was. Danny was able to get him. He did play for the University of Denver before transitioning to the Rockies' lower levels. And then he came here and was immediately put with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. I think he actually played a couple games with the Flyers last year in a cup of coffee role. But now, this season, he has found his way down to the East Coast Hockey League and with the Reading Royals. For those of you that are not aware of how hockey does their minor leagues, I will educate you now. In hockey, most teams, not all, but most, have two levels of minor league hockey. And it's the AHL, which is an affiliated league, of course, and the East Coast Hockey League, which is an affiliated league. But it's funny because in the ECHL, there's two teams that play in that league that are not affiliated with NHL teams. And they just sort of play under the banner of professional hockey. But the Flyers do have an affiliation with the East Coast Hockey League, and that is with the Reading Royals. But it's not like you would think it is in baseball, right? In baseball, there's a system, right? You come up through the system. You start at the low levels and you work your way up. It doesn't really work that way in hockey. There's two levels of development, right? And that's understood. But you don't necessarily have to start out in Reading. And not a lot of players don't. A lot of players kind of get the Reading experience in either the NCAA or in major junior hockey. And then they usually bypass Reading altogether and go right up to the AHL. Reading, I hate to say it, Reading is sort of a place where they send their prospects that are really kind of struggling to figure out either their place within the organization, their place on the ice, their future as a professional hockey player. It's not a death roll, but it's not necessarily something encouraging that a player ends up down in the ECHL. It's not. It's somewhat discouraging. Now, in a developmental standpoint, not from a player standpoint. Players want to play and don't want to play anywhere, but from a developmental standpoint, for a prospect to end up in the ECHL, it's not very encouraging. And Massimo is now down in Reading this year with the Royals. He is a 5'11", 174-pound center. He's undersized a little bit. He was drafted in the 7th round of the 2019 NHL draft by the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, this also is somewhat telling. At what point do we stop calling him a prospect? Right? I mean, he's been sort of in a pro. He's been a pros pro for 6 years now, going on 7. You know, at what point do you stop saying, "Hey, yeah, this guy's just not a prospect anymore," and he's part of that tweener group of players that kind of goes in between the minor leagues and the NHL, and just playing for that next paycheck. Again, I'm not disparaging that. I am not talking down upon that. I would love to have been in a position like that myself, coming up the system, coming up as a player. I would have loved to have gotten drafted, signed, worked out, a UDFA contract or a PTO deal. I would love stuff like that. Any reason to continue to play the game you love is okay by me. And it's not necessarily judged by your ability to get to the NHL. I know many career minor league hockey players and baseball players on a personal level. And I envy every single one of them because they have an opportunity to continue to play the game that they love. And it's and that's what it really boils down to. Sometimes you just come to that moment in life where you just realize you're not going to be at the top level, but that doesn't mean you can't play. And Rizzo might be kind of, hovering into that realm, and it is what it is. But he beats defenders off the rush. He's a skilled stick handler who is tough enough to move off the puck, especially when he accelerates. Now, the big knock on him, especially when he's gotten a little bit of the upper level stuff, is that he is a little bit indecisive with his playmaking. And you know as well as I do, and you see it every day. When you're trying to make passes at the NHL level, you got about 0.001 seconds to make up your mind. And anything beyond that, you're risking a turnover, an odd man rush the other way, or a bad pass, missed opportunity. All you know what the deal is. So that's been sort of Maximo's knock on him. It's been his ability to kind of translate that style or that part of his game over to the upper levels of hockey in a pro program. And that is why he's languishing down with the Reading Royals right now. So with Reading so far this season, Maximo has, what's he got here? What's his line? He's played in 4 games. He's got a goal, 5 assists, 6 points, and he's a +3. So he's having positive effect on the Royals. And he's playing every day. So that's very positive. So here's to his development, and here's his, keep on working that, keep on living your dream. But the reality of him ever shining as a Flyer is pretty much gone by the wayside. So there you go, your Flyer prospect of the night. And I think it's probably time to stop calling him a prospect. Maximo Rizzo is your prospect. Matt, what time do you want me to come on? Whenever you want, Ricky. Ricky, I'm here all night long. I'm here from 10 to whenever. Come on when you want, Ricky. All right, man. We'll spend a few minutes talking with you. Star Wars says Sir Anthony's in for the Blue Jays. Pivotal Game 5. Pivotal Game 5. Great series. I got it. Hats off to the Toronto Maple Leafs, Blue Jays, for their ability to fight with the Dodgers. I think it's going to go 7, but I still think the Dodgers win it. I think the Dodgers win this thing, Star Wars. I was predicting a Dodgers sweep, but I think it will go 7, but I don't think the Blue Jays. But it's been a really entertaining World Series. I've watched a lot of it. But Star Wars is reporting that Sir Anthony is now on the hill for the Blue Jays. Good luck. You're gonna need it. Oh, and a little programming note. I haven't forgotten about you guys. The Titans Final will return soon. Soon. There's going to be a meeting in next week time frame of the powers that be, and we're going to decide when we're going to do our 2025 Fighting Finals season review show. We owe it to you. We do it purposely. We let things kind of settle in. We're not going to talk about it now, of course, during the World Series or during the playoffs. We'll let things sort of settle in. let the holidays take hold, and then come at you before the winter meetings. We typically like to do it before the winter meetings so we can, give you one last, everyone's emotions are going to settle down now, and we'll be able to talk about this a little bit more subjectively, but we'll do that around the Thanksgiving time frame. We're gonna have that show air for you. I promise it'll happen, and then we'll get things going for the off season, and then the Fighting's final season number 6 or 5. Yep, season number 5. Wow, season number 5 next year. Can't believe we've been doing it for 5 years. Cannot believe it. But we will be back in 2026. Ricky says, "Let's go Flyers." And Star Wars reporting in on the trade. Yes, they are. John Mechie is now on his way to the Jets. Michael Carter is on his way to the Eagles. The Eagles sew up a very questionable defensive backfield. Star Wars, does that mean Cooper DeJean is now your permanent CB2? Is he now coming out wide? Michael Carter plays exclusively in the slot. And what does that mean for Cooper DeJean, and what does that mean for the slot? Carter's also on the contract through 2027, and he signed an extension with the Jets last year. Very, very friendly extension. So the Eagles get a player that they could potentially roll with for the next 3 seasons for a 7th-round draft pick and a wide receiver that didn't play a lick of football for the Eagles. Good move by Howie, at least right now. But what does this mean for the future of Cooper DeJean? And moving him out wide, if that's what they're going to do, is that where he belongs? We've already seen what he can do in the slot. It's amazing. But moving Cooper DeJean out wide, does that change things? Negatively, positively? Does that change things for the Eagles? So we'll wait and see on that. But, yep, Star Wars reports in on that trade. Kind of started the show off with that point there, Star Wars. But thank you for reminding everybody and giving me actual trade details. Eagles now still left with 10 draft picks for 2026, which is very good. But is that it? Is that the last move? Is Howie done for the season? Is his off-season over? Or is his in-season trade deadlining over? We'll wait and see. But next week, we'll be back with more and more Eagle coverage. Birds Blast will return not this Thursday night, but next Thursday, as me and Kyle will preview or review the Eagle-Giant win. The Giant win over the Eagles. Wow. And then we'll also look ahead of the Monday night game coming up against the Packers. That's next Thursday, as we are on a bye week here on the network. That sucks, but can't wait till we get started again. All right, let's break down the final segment of the night. All right, our card review tonight. I'm going a little bit off the grid tonight, baby. Going a little bit off the grid. We primarily deal with gave it away. Primarily deal with baseball cards in the show, but I am a multiple sports card guy. I deal in all 4 majors. Tonight we're going to talk hockey. We've talked hockey on this program before. We talked hockey cards. I got a few good ones in my collection. And this is one of my personal favorites. Not necessarily a card that's going to get you a lot of money, but it's a card of a player who I thought was one of the icons of his position back in the day. It changed his position, and a guy whose career was cut short, unfortunately, by injuries, by concussions. But he was very, very good for when he played in the league, and he was very good when he played here for the Flyers. And I want to take you all the way back to his draft year. This is his draft card that they came out with on Classic Hockey. Classic Cards produced this card in 1993. Classic was a very I don't really know what you would call them. They were mainly a game company. They produced games like board games and stuff. They got into the card game a little bit in the early 90s, but they didn't last. But they did produce some hockey cards, and this was one of the cards they produced from the 93 season. It was their hockey draft, promoting or promoting some of the prospects that were entering the league that year. And this was one of the cards they did. And let's bring it up here. It is the 93 draft card of Chris Pronger. That's right, man. There he is, Mr. Chris Pronger in his days of playing for what was he playing for? The Petersburg Petes of the OHL. And this was Pronger back in the day, wearing number 6. Of course, Pronger would end up going second overall in the 93 hockey draft to the Hartford Whalers, and then had himself a career, and then ended up here in Philadelphia. And then, the concussion thing kind of reared its ugly head and sort of cut his career short. But what a iconic player that changed the position. This was a big guy who had a big defender who could play physical, and he did play physical, but he could also put the puck in the net. And he was just such a force out there for whomever he played for. And really was a shame. Really was a shame that his career got cut short. He's a Hall of Famer, but he could have been so much more. Could have been so much more as a hockey player. But the injuries cut his career short. This card is utterly worthless, $3, but still a very iconic player to me, even though he was only here for a short period of time. But very iconic in the sport of hockey. And so it will always have a place of reference in my collection. I think it's a pretty cool looking card. Anytime you can pull a draft card of a player, especially a player that would end up with the careers Chris Pronger had, and you can say, I got my Chris Pronger draft card. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool moment. So there it is, the 1993 Classic Hockey Draft Chris Pronger card, and here it is right there. That's pretty cool looking card. Pretty basic card though. Classic wasn't really that hot on making cards, and they really didn't stick around that long, but they stuck around long enough for me to get their Chris Pronger card. So there you have our card review of the 93 Chris Pronger. And that is going to take me almost to the end. I do want to comment one last time on tonight. The special night that tonight is in the Halloween calendar, right? The title of the show was Soap Night. Does anybody remember Soap Night? I don't know if it was something we made up growing up, but it was something that I remember as a little kid wanting to be participating in when I got older. I don't know if we just added it on, to the Halloween thing. I know tomorrow night, and again, I know they don't do this stuff anymore, and it's a damn shame. But the Mischief Night stuff, which typically would be tomorrow night, and then of course Halloween on the 31st. But tonight, growing up, the night before Mischief Night, we called it Soap Night, and we would go out with bars of soap, and we would just write on car windows. We don't break them or anything like that. We would just start just a little light vandalism. Wash the crap off with water. And I remember waking up on the morning of the 30th and going, typically walking out of the house, walking down the street, going around the block to hop on the bus to go to school. And as you're walking down the block, it's literally lines of cars that just got soaked. Harmless fun. And does it still exist, or did it only exist in my neighborhood in Northeast Philly? Did it only exist in my neighborhood in Mayfair? Did it only exist on the 7000 block of Algard Street between Frankfurt Ave, right off Frankfurt and between Tyson and Princeton Avenue? Is that the only place that existed? Was there in that little space of time? Because no one ever, when I mention it now, people are like, Soap Night? What the hell was that? I'm like, and these are people from Philly. I got to explain it to them. Like, no, I don't remember that. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't remember that? It was the night before. It was on the 29th. Night before Mischief Night. Mischief Night? What is that? That blew my mind. When you don't know what Mischief Night was. I don't know. I can't help you out. But yeah, like Soap Night. I don't know what that is. I'm like, yeah, this is what we did. No, I never heard of that before. And when I talk to kids about it today, they look at me like I'm crazy, because of the society we live in right now. God forbid you go out and have fun. But yeah, Soap Night tonight. Maybe I'll go out tonight with a bar soap in my early 50s and start soaping up our car windows. Probably launch the FBI after me. This soft ass world we live in. But happy Soap Night for those of you that celebrate. I know I am. In my mind, I am celebrating Soap Night. Lost to time of my youth. But Halloween is coming. Ricky Deal mentions it's his birthday tomorrow. So Ricky, we're gonna bring Ricky on the air. Maybe sing happy birthday to him. Wish him a happy birthday tomorrow. And then tomorrow will be my final episode of the week. I will not be on Halloween. So we'll do a little Halloween thing tomorrow. A little Halloween theme to our program tomorrow. So make sure you're there for it. My favorite holiday of the year. And we'll share some Halloween memories, like your best, worst, what are you doing now for Halloween? Are you still, is there anybody out there as a grown man or woman still trick-or-treating? There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not judging. I'm just asking, is there anybody that actually, I actually know a man in his mid-50s that goes trick-or-treating. Now, he doesn't go with a candy bag and go up to the houses and knock on doors. No, he walks around and just scares kids. It's awesome. It's freaking awesome. Again, lighthearted fun. I do a little thing here at the house. Me and my wife, it was funny. We did it a couple of years ago. Oh, well, I'll talk about it tomorrow, but it's harmless fun. I made a little kid cry. Not purposely. Just having some fun with it. But yeah, we'll talk some Halloween stuff tomorrow. We'll talk some Halloween stuff. We'll have some fun. Joe Hale says he goes trick-or-treating. Now, Joe, do you go trick-or-treating with the candy bag? You're not a grown-ass man walking up to a house, knocking on a door, holding out a pillow sack, are you? Looking for some Snickers bars? I mean, again, I'm not here to judge. It's not what I'm here to do. If I could get away with it, but I'm too much of a celebrity these days. I don't want to cause a mass panic by going out trick-or-treating. But I hand out candy, and I'll never stop handing out candy. I think it's great. And it's funny that since COVID 2020, it's the amount of kids that come to my house and the houses that that are around here severely gone off a cliff. And I don't like that. They're not taking Halloween away from us. I will fight that forever. Halloween cannot ever go away. And I know there's some communities out there around this country that actually trick-or-treat during the day on Halloween. I don't know what part of Russia you're from that you're trick-or-treating during the day. What kind of communist socials are you that is trick-or-treating during the day? I mean, that is terrible. I will never do that. I remember the first time I ever saw anything that resembled trick-or-treating during the day, it was when I was watching the movie E.T., that movie back in the 80s where they brought him out to go trick-or-treating, and they were trick-or-treating all throughout it was the daytime. And I thought that was I thought that was a movie like mistake. And the only thing I took from that scene was, and I was a little kid. I was maybe 10, 11. And the only thing I took from that scene was, remember where they dressed E.T. up as a ghost, put a sheet over him so he could blend in with everybody else. And the only thing I took from that scene was, why are they trick-or-treating during the day? Now, my kids who live in Ohio with their mother, they trick-or-treat in their community during the day. What kind of crap is that? I will never partake in daytime trick-or-treating. I don't care what the society says or community says. I'm knocking on doors. I would do it purposely if I lived in a community that trick-or-treated during the day. I'd run 7, 8 o'clock at night. I'd start going around knocking on doors, like hard, like bang, 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 bang. And even if you didn't have your light on. Because if you're going to partake in daytime trick-or-treating, you're getting a visit from me at night. This is how it's going to be. Terrible. But I know there's some communities out there that do it. See, that's cool. That's very cool. That's extremely cool. And we'll get into some, because I have memories of that too. Matter of fact, as an adult, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. I remember going around trick-or-treating in a community that I lived in when I was a soldier when my kids were younger. My daughters were like, God, I don't know, 10, 7, around there, 10 and 7. And there was a community we lived in where they would put on a haunted house at the house they lived at, or right out back, and they would let the kids go through. It was very cool. Very cool. So we'll get into the memories of that tomorrow night, as we'll be nostalgic about Halloween. And we'll also talk some sports if there's something to talk about. Star Wars also mentioned earlier. I don't mean to ignore you. Sixers are still undefeated. They are. Again, the conversation for the Sixers was on the table, and it will be. I won't actively promote it, but I won't shy away from it, Star Wars. So if you guys want to talk Sixers, we can do that tomorrow as well. So that is on the table. Don't forget, though, tomorrow we will be back. So the final word will be on a little bit later. Well, maybe not, but it's going to follow the post-game show. So Mike Lauro has you covered tomorrow. Flyers, Predators, and I will be on right after Mike. So, and then next week, special programming announcement. Again, we've talked about this. The final word with MattyB, starting on November 4th, is moving to 9 o'clock. So starting on November 4th, this show will go from 10 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and we'll stay on that 9 o'clock time slot probably into the spring. And then when baseball returns, we'll probably readjust and move us back to 10 o'clock. But for our winter hours, I will be moving the show Sundays through Thursday at 9 p.m. beginning on, I guess, November the 4th. Yeah, I think around November the 4th, because I think, don't I have the hockey thing on Sunday? Whatever. November, for some reason, November 4th sticking out to me. So, yes. So, wait, starting next Monday, I think that's what. So, Saturday's the 1st. Next Tuesday, November 4th. Why am I doing two shows? Why would I be doing two shows and then switching? But anyway, that's what we're going to do. Election night, I guess that's what that is. Tuesday, November 4th, I will be moving the show to 9 o'clock. And it'll stay at 9 o'clock until probably the spring. So make sure you're making that programming note. And don't forget also, this weekend, we're going to be, falling back? 1 hour on Saturday night. So if you're out in the bars, if you're one of those kind of guys and gals, you get an extra hour at the bar on Saturday night. So remember that. We're gonna flip your clocks back, which I know is not really a thing anymore because everything's digital and on the internet and does it automatically for you anyway. But I have multiple clocks that are not hooked up to the internet in this house, and I enjoy. And another little sort of look at society. I'm a teacher. I substitute teach. Being a soldier, a retired soldier, I need to do something during the day, especially in the winter, to keep me occupied. And I go into elementary schools and I substitute teach. And I was working for a fourth grade class the last couple of days. And I remember today, or was it yesterday? One of the kids asked me, he said, because on the walls of these classrooms, they have clocks, not digital clocks, but a clock with the hands and all that. And the little girl went up and asked me, Mr. B, is it 10 o'clock yet? And I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? Is it 10 o'clock? Well, she's like, I don't know what the clock says. And because I got to be somewhere at 10. I'm like, wait a second. You don't know how to read a clock? Well, no, I know how to read a digital clock. They don't teach kids how to read clocks anymore. Digital clocks. They don't teach a kid how to read a clock with a minute hand, a second hand, or any of that stuff. What the hell are we doing? When the hell are we doing? I mean, that to me is a control measure. You're relying on the internet. No, man. Hell no. Teach a kid how to read a goddamn clock. But we're not doing it no more. It's amazing. 10-year-old asking me what time it was because they can't read a clock. They can read a digital clock, but not a real clock. But anyway, we're going to turn the clocks back this weekend. I guess those kids don't really care. But I care. So make sure you're aware of that. But we'll be talking next week. Make sure you're tuned in to all the programming. Here it is again in a nutshell, the rest of our week. Tomorrow night, Gridiron Weekly. Clear the ice. And me, nothing on Friday. I'm sorry. We got some things going on here. Saturday is Penn State postgame and Flyers postgame, and then we'll wrap it and turn it all around for the week that will be next week. So make sure you're tuned in to all the haps here on the network. And I will talk to you guys again tomorrow night after the almost said the Fighting's final, after Clear the Ice. Till then, you guys enjoy your soap night. Go out there and soap up a car. Just don't write my name. Go out there and soap up a car for me. Enjoy soap night. I'll see you on Mischief Night tomorrow night. Take care.